What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com.
Here are my DFS picks for MLB playoffs Wednesday, September 30th.
These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button
And hit that bell icon
so you don't miss our new videos.
In this video, I'm going to go over my top picks for today's MLB slate. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, MLB playoffs, let's take a look at this 8-game main slate. At the pitcher position, I like Hyun-Jin Ryu with a 6% pitching advantage over a low-salary batting team, the Tampa Bay Rays. Ryu is only giving up a .553 OPS versus lefties, and he's facing 5 lefties here tonight. On top of that, the Rays have only hit 5 of his last 29 pitches, batting a 172 batting average. He's 8,300 FanDuel salary and 200 less on DraftKings. He has an ERA of 2.69. His record is 5-2 on the season, pitching an average of 94 pitches per game. He's averaging 35 fantasy points per game, and he scored 43, 40, and 46 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So I like Hyun-Jin Ryu here versus the Tampa Bay Rays. Okay, let's take a look at the first base position. I like Miguel Sano with a 51% batting advantage over Jose Urquidy. Miguel Sano bats 8% better versus righty pitchers. He's batting a .852 OPS versus righties. And Jose Urquidy, he's pitching 42% worse to righties than he does lefties, pitching his worst ball by far to righty batters, giving up a .836 OPS versus righties. There's no at-bats versus Urquidy yet, and Sano is 3,000 FanDuel salary and 800 more on DraftKings. He's averaging 10 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 3, 3, and 6 fantasy points in the last 3 games, projected at 10.7 fantasy points here tonight. So I like Miguel Sano here versus Jose Urquidy. Okay, let's take a look at the second base position. I like Cesar Hernandez with a 22% batting advantage over a low salary pitcher, Masahiro Tanaka. Cesar Hernandez is batting 16% better versus righty pitchers. He's batting a .778 OPS versus righties. And Tanaka throws his worst ball versus switch hitters, giving up a .790 OPS versus switch hitters. Hernandez is 2 for 3 with a 1.667 OPS versus Tanaka. He's only 2,900 FanDuel salary and 1,200 more on DraftKings. He's averaging 9 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 3, 12, and 6 fantasy points in the last 3 games, projected at 10 fantasy points here tonight. So I like Cesar Hernandez here versus Masahiro Tanaka. Okay, who do we have at the third base position? I like Jose Ramirez. Although he doesn't have a batting advantage here of splits-wise, he's got great batter versus pitcher stats. Versus Masahiro Tanaka, Jose Ramirez is batting a .819 OPS versus righties. Now he does bat better versus lefties, but Masahiro Tanaka pitches his worst ball versus switch hitters, 6% worse than his other pitches, giving up a .790 OPS versus switch hitters. And Jose Ramirez, he's 9 for 17, batting a .529 batting average and a 1.438 OPS versus Tanaka. So I love these batter versus pitcher stats here.
one of the reasons why I think this makes a great fantasy play here tonight. Jose Ramirez is $4,100 FanDuel salary and $1,300 more on DraftKings. He's averaging 15 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 13, 21, and 6 fantasy points in the last 3 games, projected at 12.7 fantasy points here tonight. So I like Jose Ramirez here versus Masahiro Tanaka.
Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. The tools are all about saving research time. You can see the last 3 games, the fantasy points per game, the targets they got per game, so you can see how involved they are in the offense, the rushes they got per game. Seeing all this stuff on one screen helps you save time and make better picks. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups.
Okay, let's take a look at the shortstop position. I like Francisco Lindor with a 14% batting advantage over that same pitcher, Masahiro Tanaka. I think it makes a great stack with switch hitters versus Tanaka here tonight. Francisco Lindor bats 8% better versus righty pitchers. He's batting a .825 OPS versus righties. And Masahiro Tanaka, we know, throws his worst ball versus switch hitters. Now, Francisco Lindor is only 4 for 18, only batting a .222 batting average and a .5 OPS versus Tanaka. But I think that he comes out of that slump versus Tanaka here. I think he pays off his salary. He's $3,600 FanDuel salary and $1,200 more on DraftKings. He's averaging 10 fantasy points per game on the season, and he's definitely in a slump here, only scoring 0, 0, and 3 fantasy points in the last 3 games, but he's projected at 10.3 fantasy points here tonight. So I like Francisco Lindor here versus Masahiro Tanaka. Okay, moving on to the outfield position. I like George Springer with a 22% batting advantage over Jose Barrios. George Springer bats 11% better versus righty pitchers. He's batting a .951 OPS versus righties. And Jose Barrios, he's pitching 12% worse to righties than he does lefties, giving up a .705 OPS versus righties. George Springer is 6 for 12, batting .500 with a 1.404 OPS versus Barrios. Springer is $3,900 FanDuel salary and $1,300 more on DraftKings. He's averaging 12 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 10, 0, and 16 fantasy points in the last 3 games. He's projected at a big night here tonight, projected at 16.6 fantasy points here tonight. So I like George Springer here versus Jose Barrios.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video.
Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this MLB slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.